As soon as the COVID lockdown was announced, I was in the office with a lot of the principals and we were just basically all going in panic mode because a lot of them were like, what's going to happen? School to learning, like how well are we going to progress? We didn't know a lot of these things, like, how well are kids going to adapt being at home and all of these things. And a lot of these answers weren't even clear because it was so fresh in the mind. And then for me, I guess, as soon as that was lunchtime, and then as soon as I went into my last period class, everyone's asking like, oh, what do you think's going to happen? Oh, what do you think about this internal? Are exams going to get cancelled and all of this? And I'm just sitting there thinking, it's March. A lot of my year level, what they were worried about is like, what's going to happen to our school ball, our leavers dinner, our year 13 showcase, like a lot of our integral events that make the class of 2020 the class of 2020. But in saying that, the COVID experience and the announcement of it sort of developed our character of this year. As our 2020 souvenirs, we're making face masks with our Hillcrest logo and class of 2020 written on them. So I felt like I had to sacrifice some of the things I was personally comfortable with just to reassure to everyone else that, hey, we're all in this together and we'll get through it if we keep a positive attitude.
I don't think it really hit me until I think around the second week mark, where it was the COVID announcements, the cases per day. It really shocked me. I'm like, how much time left do I have? Is next year even viable? Like, what am I even doing with my life? So I really found value while being in lockdown, understanding time value and understanding family value, and it was an interesting growing time. I think that the country really learned to find the little bits of hope.
I think for me, being at home, with all my family, like I've got 2 older brothers, mum and dad, I think it was quite like a new experience for us because, my parents work full time, both of them, so I don't see them much, and especially with the amount of stuff I'm involved in with my mosque youth group and then head boy things and then the youth advisory group, like I don't get a lot of time because when they get home from work, I'm usually out at a meeting or with friends or, doing something, and I feel like that's what COVID really helped with, is like making me like stay at home and like spend some time with family.
So I really struggled being at home because I value extracurriculum things. So having a lockdown and COVID happening, it really halted experiences. Also, my mum's a teacher and my sister is also a full-time student, so it was difficult to juggle Zoom calls and making sure that we have a schedule where we weren't fighting for bandwidths. So coming from a rural community, we definitely don't have the advantages of the fastest network, the fastest internet, the best bandwidth. We don't even have fibre. My household was lucky enough that our internet provider removed all restrictions because we usually are on a gigabyte restriction limit. We did go through the struggle of being confined in a small house and going back to school. We're seeing friends, we're seeing teachers, which we're so happy to see because we haven't seen them in ages, and it's just a very surreal and growing experience. I actually had a break from my family a week before and that improved my well-being so much, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
With the NCEA being so like integral, being in year 13 and like final year, you really need to, get your work done. I feel like for me personally, my school did it like real well. Being set up with a good learning management system like Schoology from beforehand, it really lessened the effects of a transitioning period into the COVID lockdown. Like I already had all my work assigned on Schoology, so I was aware of what things needed to be done and when. And then on top of that, it was being able to see and talk to my teachers through conferences. So
I require to use assistive technology. So COVID obviously posed challenges for my NCEA since I am in my last year. Obviously because, like I mentioned, I didn't have any technology that was working for me to actually complete my internals, so I had a big loss of time where at the moment during term 4 I'm having to spit out all these internals while also learning externals, so this has been quite hard for me.
I think experiencing COVID was like such an awesome opportunity, as bad as that sounds, but I mean, like, it really teaches you a lot of these skills about being a self-directed learner, really honing your time management skills, because oftentimes in school you're a lot of the times directed towards how to time manage. But when you're at home, you know, during level 4 lockdown, it's all up to you as to when you wake up, how much schoolwork you do, when you do it, you know, all of these things that it's essentially up to you about how you plan your day.
Because half of my subjects are distance learning, I already had the expectation that I didn't need to transfer to a more digital base because most of my subjects are already online, so we had the expectation that we was going to work all throughout lockdown and through that 2-week holiday period, so I didn't really get a break at all. There was one teacher that really stood out to me. She told me to just take it day by day and forget about her class altogether, and her class is the one that I've completed all of her internals in, ironically. So her being able to say, hey, take a step back, don't worry about it, we'll sort it when we all come back to school, and actually focus on you and other important things that are happening in your life, that was really important to me.
And I guess for me, it's told me to understand that, hey, you might be thriving so well at home, you know, during lockdown, you've got internet, you've got food on the table and everything like that, but for other people, it's a totally different experience. So I think being empathetic towards other people is something that I've really learned, and understanding that not everyone's experiences is the same.